Welcome to another chapter of Built on Brains and Hub for entrepreneurs and innovators. Today we have Shilpa Karkeraa with us. She is a group CEO at Myraa Technologies, which is an AI and blockchain company having offices in 15 countries and serving 11 industrial segments. She is also CEO at Flockcare, which is into healthcare awareness. She is also LDW community leader, global top 20 Goldman Sachs Fellowship, published author on blockchain, and a global technology speaker. So she is a woman entrepreneur from India and having offices in multiple countries. She is sitting in Singapore. That is the reason we are having an online podcast today. I hope you'll enjoy it.
It's an absolute pleasure to be a part of this, and cheers to your initiative on spreading awareness and sharing experiences. So thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So we'd like to learn more about you. So how you started your journey, how was your experience, and how you started your own company. So what made you think to start your company, and what was your experience before that gave you a thought that I should start a company?
I think the urge to build a company was always there because I'm a builder who loves to build things. Now, after building, the ultimate joy is if people can use what you build. And entrepreneurship gives you the chance to build, share, speak, expand, and choose where you want to go and create that impact. So I think that was very inherent in terms of what I wanted to do. And the parts of making an entrepreneur was probably building things from very young. I think wanting to break out things and make things, that engineering mindset where you get to have a joy of building things. And from my engineering days as well, my college was almost like a startup incubation field. At that time we didn't have all these words at that time, but in the college we used to build a lot of things, from the Robocon tracks to building probably like a lot of electronic gadgets. And that building and creating a community while you build is what I experienced during college days. And as soon as I wanted to graduate, I was like, let's start a company. And my father is like, no, you have to learn the economics of the business, which you don't know as a builder. So engineering days gave me the ability to build. And then I worked at a Bay Area startup where I got a full high-speed exposure of high-speed innovation as well. So, and that was at a time where AI was not known, or it was not as big as it is today. But we were working on cutting-edge algorithms at that time, where I started my career. And I was a data science lead at that time, leading a team of 25 engineers from that time. From there, the urge to build went on, and I started building trading engines, trading charts, trading platforms, in my second role as a product specialist and a lead technologist. And if you, I think, have been using financial products in India, you would see a lot of trading charts that are built would be mine as well. So that would be some of the glimpse of the work. And from there, I got the taste of building trading engines for millions of people. So high scalability was something that I was an expert in, that many users can use a platform. And that gave me a different high, that, so many people are using my platform in 1 minute. Over 10 lakh people were using my platform. And that was another high to say that, okay, this is scalability in terms of usability as well. And from there, I came to Singapore as a principal web architect for a startup that was scaling its operations on ground, and I was called to scale. And that's when my global journey started for, to make sure operations are largely applied on the Asian markets as well. That's when I came to Singapore. From there, I cracked 2 customers before I registered my company. And that's how Myraa started in 2016. So from there to now, it's been a 9-year journey, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, that's great actually. Before starting your company, you already had some experience with other company, right? That's great. So was there anything that didn't went your way when you started Myraa, or anything that didn't work in your way when you're working with your last company before starting Myraa?
Absolutely, the ambition, right? Like the ambition of what you could do 100x. I mean, as you want to do, and when you're building. So what didn't go my way in my engineering, I built a product which used to move with the moment of the eye. And my dream was to put that inside cars for directional headlights, because headlights should not move after the car moves. It should move with your eyesight before you want to turn the car. And the feeling when I built that, it was really recognized globally, but I could not commercialize it in my engineering days. I wanted to sell it to BMW, but BMW probably didn't know me at that time. And that didn't go my way. And it hurt me as a creator that,
Okay.
we did put directional headlights, by the way, for tracking the eye eventually, but the connection was not made at that time when I built it. So it didn't go my way deeply enough to keep me motivated that today when my team or me or anyone in the team builds something amazing, my job is to serve and make sure the right people know about it. So that feeling of not reaching them at that time has taken me a long way.
That's great. During your college days, you built such a great innovation. So that's amazing to know. So can you tell me about your journey in founding this company? How did you build it and made a leading platform?
Yes, I think when I was working in Singapore, the urge was to build something, and that was always in my mind. The lunch breaks used to be hiding into making my company, in terms of small things that you want to build and dream. And those lunch breaks were basically eat in 2 minutes and then work on your startup ideas. And those were the small minutes that I think, probably taken. And Myraa started out of a library, is what I would say. So the lunch breaks, I used to run to the library and take that time. And then after office hours, run to the library again and work like office to build my dreams. And it sounds very crude right now when I say it, but I think that library is an iconic space for me, because people start in a garage. For me, it started in the library. I used to write outbound mails. I used to reach out to people and understand their needs. So the company was formed out of for solving people's needs in terms of technical scalability. And I found people who wanted to solve a problem large enough, serious enough, and we could then take that up. And we signed contracts, as I said earlier,
Okay.
before the company started, and then I registered my company. So that's how we started. And the urge of that till today is to have the problem solving attitude. And the whole team today is a team of problem solvers who have high learning curve, who can quickly adapt and build solutions on a very large scale. And that same culture has kept. We didn't go the funding route that time. We went through the problem solving route, being revenue generating year on year, which gave us the biggest leverage in the market to take the decisions that we chose to do and be true to our ethos as a company as well, that it is today.
So library, it was in your college days?
The previous role I was in Singapore. So the Singapore National Library is very close to me for that reason. So I was sort of running to the library after work, around work, to just make sure I'm working on the company. Yeah.
And you also mentioned earlier to me that you are university topper. So that's great to know that you are a Pune University topper. And
All of them, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the college ranks and stuff, which is very tough, very, very tough.
yeah, Pune University is very tough, and you don't get good marks, and it's really tough in comparison to other universities, I can say. And that's
Absolutely.
really great to know about you. Yeah. So coming back to Myraa, so what exactly Myraa does actually? What kind of problems it solves?
We started as an AI solutions company. So one of the starting points, because I came from finance and I built financial technology tools, we started with a wealth management company that came to us to automate a recommendation of products for consumers. And we started with that. And then we went on to expanding for NBFC's AI solutions, from loan incentive plans to making sure loans are accessible to people, communication tools. We built a lot from finance to oil and gas to maritime to aircraft. We went across 11 industries, automating the AI solutions. And in simple words, what we do is we automate all the strenuous or hazardous or boring works that people don't like to do, and make sure that they have a higher quality of life, and at the same time workplaces are more inclusive as well. So we automate all of these works with our custom solutions. Over the journey, we built a lot of products as well. So today, in 9 years of journey, we are a solutions and a products company in finance, healthcare, industrial engineering will cover all your manufacturing, oil and gas, maritime. And we've gone to gaming and arts as well in terms of the breadth and depth. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So you started your company in Singapore itself?
So it started here, but I think homeland obviously gives me the best, advantage as well. So we also registered it in India. Today,
Mhm.
Singapore is the HQ, the headquarter here.
Okay.
But homeland is where I would always give credit as well in terms of how we started as well. So Mumbai and Singapore, and we also had another office just before the pandemic in Mangalore at that time. So we took a larger space, 2,000 square feet area space, to create a very good innovation space for Mangalore as well. Because whatever we learned in an urban first, tier one city, we wanted to expand it to the beautiful lands of India across as well. Today, we are remotely inclusive to even roles that are far and not from just these places. And we're very conscious of making sure that people get opportunities wherever they sit. So we're an actively remote company along with the physical office spaces in India, in UAE, Singapore, US, and Europe is now in process.
That's as you have offices in multiple countries. What are the advantages in comparison to having an office in India and in other countries? So anything that is more advantageous to have an office in other countries in comparison to India?
I think
Anything?
it's just the energy of one office to another. Like different offices create a good energy between each other in terms of offices. So there are certain cycles of seasonality, right? In terms of business, in terms of employee performance. So in Diwali, for example, this team is not working, then there is some other team working as well in some other country as well. So business continuity is maintained and our customers enjoy the best experience as well. At the same time, the festive season passes to different teams also who are really in India, not in India as well. So it creates a good culture, I would say, of different countries. I wouldn't say one has more advantage than the other,
Okay.
but it creates a good fault tolerant system for me as an entrepreneur and for my employees as well.
So, as you have mentioned, you have multiple products under Myra technology, and you are also doing a lot of innovations, right? So, how do you approach innovation? How do you find a problem? How do you start that I want to solve some problems? So, what is your approach actually?
That has to come from your customer or the consumer who is going to be having a pain point. And that pain point has to have repeatability. That means not just one customer, but many people should have the same pain point. Because there might be many pain points or challenges, but they have to be worthwhile solving as well. And if it can be solved in 10 rupees, then why build a $1 million product around it as well? So identifying whether it's a pain point that is repeatable, the customer has to come or give a signal that it is a pain point. And secondly, it has to have value of solving that pain point. So it has to solve that pain point to a great value. Then absolutely it helps building that one. So we identify it by interviewing the customer, or the customer usually comes to us. So at Myra, we don't do typical outbound sales. We don't believe in that. We believe in making sure we're here to solve problems. There are customers who do come to us. We've identified some problems which are repeatable in healthcare, which is my own personal journey as well. We can talk about it later. But is that patients, for example, or consumers who go to hospitals or go to healthcare organizations sometimes don't get the right service, or they're mistreated. Sometimes the doctor has done his best, but doesn't have time because he's overloaded with so many other people. So these are pain points. And I think you and I, anybody can relate to that. We all know it, that it's
Right,
there.
right.
So these are things that we are able to find patterns of repeatability, and then they're worthwhile solving because it pains me, it pains you. Everybody's into it to solve it as well.
So understanding the pain points is what you do first, and then go for innovation.
Yeah.
So working with the team, innovation team, is it difficult or it's easy because you have offices across the globe, multicultural people work with you. So how do you manage and keep all of them motivated and to solve a particular problem?
I think the pain point, if it's large enough and it's relatable enough, everybody is focused on the larger purpose of why they are there and why they are showing up. If it is a transactional dashboard that they have to make, nobody is interested. And I think I'm the first one who will run away from the same meeting, because it better be worth our times, because it's something that we're true to serving as well. So I think that key purpose, that why we are coming to work and what we do, is what is binding each and every person in the team. Second is that it has to be true to our ethos, our mission of helping people. So anybody in my team will challenge, why are we doing this? And if we don't have an answer, then it's not worthwhile doing it. So I think everybody has that culture of creating impact, and how much value of impact are we creating together.
That's great to know, because including your all employees cross question you about the project, and then you align everyone on the same mission. It's great. So is selecting a candidate a challenge? How do you approach when you interview that person would be fit for your company? He will align with your cultures. Is it a difficult task, or it's? I find it difficult. That is the reason I'm asking.
It is absolutely painful. I mean, the hiring part, where when we are performing, the demand goes high and then you have to rush to hire, definitely is a pain point that HR industry is solving forever, I guess. And culture fit is a very important one. I would answer this in two parts. Before, we finished 4 years, and now it's 9 years now. In the first 4 years, we absolutely didn't we were exploring what's the culture, what is our hiring process that works. So first 4 years was an experiment. We had good hires, bad hires. It's a part of it. In our 9-year culture, because the foundational employees and the people are strong, the hiring process have automatically culturally aligned, because those people are also spreading that culture, and it's become dominant now. So I would say that create a repeatability in hiring in the first 4 years, learn from those mistakes, and then apply it in the next 4 years and figure out. And that's the way. But I think the higher purpose has changed the game. So first 4 years, we were just solving problems. We did not have a very high curation filter when customers used to come to us. Now we have a very high curative filter, whether this is making impact or not. So with that culture, everyone is very aligned, and the culture is automatically towards the purpose of the work and not just to our company. So yeah.
That's great, actually. That's great to know. The hiring process and keeping everyone motivated is a really challenging job. And if you're doing it, it's hats off to you, like I can say. So my next question is, why healthcare? So you have mentioned why healthcare is your choice, where you want to work more on healthcare. Any reason, specific reason?
It is very personal for me, healthcare. I've been a caregiver for 11 years, and my mom was a kidney failure survivor. I've shared this before on the purpose of why I've chosen healthcare. And it is mainly because I saw her fighting like a warrior in her healthcare journey, and I'd almost lost her when I was 18. And she fought back, and whatever I am today is because of her. And that 18-year-old could have become anything random, but whatever I am today is because she fought year on year with me for 11 years after that, and made sure that we create a logo of the company is designed by my mom. When she was fighting all of this, she has hosted people. She has made sure life is going on, and that survival, behavior is what made me resilient as an entrepreneur. Saying we've battled life together. I think solving challenges, be however big it is the culture that passed on into my company as well. And healthcare, again, is because we saw the challenges. 11 years of running to hospital. I've seen not just my own family, but I've seen many, many, many patients go through different cycles. And the learning that I had in 11 years must have been greater than a lot of, going to school, maybe, because it was on ground for real problems and tons of it. And at the same time, my family has been running hospitals as well, like my extended family. And I hear their challenges as well, because everybody wants to serve. But there is an infrastructure issue that we all saw in the pandemic as well, that when there's overburdened systems, and that's where healthcare is very important to each one of us. And so my only wish moving forward, and the reason why we have FlockCare, the product that we are committed to, is that anyone and everyone who needs the right information at the right time gets it. And that, in this information age, not getting it is a shame to technology, right? Yes, for choices for food, music, and so on. But do we get choices on option A, B, C when we go to a medical journey? No, it's very, very stressful. So that is where we want to make sure that FlockCare helps healthcare awareness to whoever needs it, and we will work hard to make sure the right information reaches them through the doctors itself. So we don't want to be a Wikipedia or a Google search, because that's already horrible in terms of Googling something, and anywhere. We want to empower the doctors to share more information after their 5-minute consultation, because after the 5 minute we go and Google sometimes, and we don't want to do that. It could be a better communication channel from the right sources after you visit the doctor as well. So that's what we do.
Okay. Can you add a little more on what exactly is Flock Care, so that the people can understand more about your purpose that you have built it for?
Sure. So Flockcare is an AI generation engine for healthcare information. It helps the doctors to send information for patient awareness, for patient engagement, either before they have come to the doctor, to say, okay, which test they have to do, which awareness areas that they should get themselves pre-checked or be preventive. And if they've already consulted a doctor, then the post-consultation information channel of what I should eat, or what should be the way to take the medicine, or whatever, that is after the ones. So that is what we create, and it's an automated engine of information in the form of text, images, and eventually we will be doing videos. So this is how it will come to you in terms of information.
So is it it's a web-based application or mobile application, to be more specific?
It will be a content engine, an API in the backend. We will not be facing the patient any day. So it will be reaching them in the form of WhatsApp or social media, through the doctor's chat app, whatever. Yeah. So we are on the back end on that side, because we're just focused on the quality of information. Yeah.
Okay. So it will be basically useful for medical professionals, and then it will be accessible to the patients from the medical professionals.
Correct.
That is how it is, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. That's great. So what made you think about this solution? As you mentioned that we don't have much choices, but in India specifically, when a doctor prescribes something, still we don't have a choice. Right. So we cannot say that I don't want to go for this medicine, or we don't have much choices. I don't know about foreign countries how it is treated, but in country like India, how this fits well when the patients are more knowledgeable. Will that be a little problem for medical professionals, or it may be little, I don't know. Maybe I'm asking the right question or not. I don't know.
No, absolutely welcome. So a lot of experienced doctors are so for example, there are very few which are extremely experienced. They've seen different combinations of surgeries, treatments, and so on. Now, these doctors, to pass down the information even to junior doctors, is a pain.
True.
Because the information is concentrated here. Now, even that information needs to be passed down, and the doctor is already overloaded and busy and is not able to share that information as well. So you want to relieve the doctor of the communication load and the information that has to be transferred as well. So what will happen in a place like India as well is then the knowledge will get transmission well, and eventually the patient will then get information faster. So there are medical devices, or there are new treatments that roughly take 4 to 9 years to reach the patient. Because first it has to reach the doctor who is going to talk to the patient. And the medical responsibility is huge that they recommend the right things. So we want to speed up that. And at the same time, that is why we don't go to the patient directly, because we want to make sure it's gone through the right channels, curated through the right channels, and it goes in the responsible channel flow itself. So it is a long infrastructure issue we are all trying to solve. And I think the speed of communication and brevity of how we can understand in localized ways is what we're trying to do, because doctors also need localization. So sometimes a Thai doctor is not able to, consume some internationally published, information sometimes, because it's not localized. Same way in India as well. It will only be trusted when it's come to the Indian context of Indian patients, Indian consumers as well. So that information personalization is the extra step that we take to tell that how useful it is for the localized audiences as well. One example I wanted to share before we jump into the next segment is I think government in one of the budget announcements, not the recent one, had shared that there's a vaccine for cervical cancer prevention. it was in one of the announcement, it was made free for people girls under 18. And this was a great initiative by the government in India. And that is when I realized that it is so important to take a preventive vaccine for cervical cancer as a female. And the first window is below 18 and the second window is below 40, because it's a virus causing cancer, which can be prevented because it's an external virus. It's not inside the body. Now, this information, despite being so educated, despite having so much of infrastructure around, we still don't know many a times. And when government said in the budgets, that's when I realized it. But I'm pretty sure not everybody still knows about it. And that's the kind of miss out of information that we want to prevent. So yeah, it's a topic of a lot of passion. So.
that's true. That a lot of things have missed out, and even doctors are not aware. So that's a great platform. It would be a great platform for everyone, I guess. And at the end, the patients are going to benefit from it. So that's really great to know. You have mentioned about other technologies also that you serve. So can you just tell me what are the other technologies that you work on under Myraa Technologies?
Sure. Very proud to share that we have a product that's called Myraa Lens. The product helps to make sure workplaces are safe. Now, workplaces are safe means in the industrial engineering setup, from factories to oil and gas plants to ships to maritime sector. What we do is we make sure that the surveillance inside the camera is automated for safety protocols, for quality inspection, and to make sure that work is automated and the process is automated as well in terms of supervision. So this we have been doing for aircraft assembly to making sure in the oil and gas space, it is that there should be no gas leak. If there's a gas leak, there's a plant shutdown. Millions of dollars are in losses. Earlier in the shipping times or maritime space, women could not be a part of it because they have to go off, and it was really scary in the previous times. Now, in these evolving times, women are equal active stakeholders in the maritime segment. And our cameras and the AI-based supervision, which Myraa Lens provides, makes it safe. At the same time, earlier, if there was a supervisor on the plant, sometimes the supervisor has to climb up and see if the valve is tightened. Now, there can be a female technician who can send the drone up. The camera will be seeing it, or she doesn't even have to run the drone. The AI cameras can automate, and there could be a female supervisor on the plant as well. So that's the kind of impact that we do, that workplaces are safe, inclusive, and gender equitable as well.
Okay, so workplaces across the domain, right? Everybody, these are applicable. Even in office, it would be applicable?
Yes, so offices, biosafety labs, if PPE kits are supposed to be worn, if it has to be a clean room, if offices, facial recognition is something very basic, but if there are certain procedures that you have to do when you enter the office and that has to be governed, then those, or even if somebody is in the food industry inside an office space and they're using gloves or not, all of these things are monitored.
Okay. All safety measures.
Yes.
Okay. Shilpa, you have mentioned about how do you identify problems, the problems that are more common, more painful, and which can be addressed for larger public. That is how you pick up the problems. Now, how do you solve it? And how do you make sure that you stand out from your competitors? I would be really eager to know this.
Okay, I have a very interesting answer to this, and it might sound very odd because this is an advice that my mentor from IIM Ahmedabad gave me, who said, stop doing so many things. There are many problems to solve. There is endless problems. As a techie or as a builder, I would keep solving. Said, solve problems that scale, but in a very simple way. What he told me was, you have to sell like selling a towel. Easy to use, easy to buy, and easy to keep in the house, right?
Okay.
That was the most unique advice, and I think I still share it with everyone in the team who joins us as well. I use selling it as simple as a towel because it should not overwhelm my customer, and it should not be hard to sell, and at the same time it is very useful and it is not wasting space in the house because it's as simple as a towel. Okay. So that's how we treat innovation. It sounds very odd when I say it because innovation is cutting edge, new, and towel sounds like it has been used from ages.
Yes.
Right? Now, how do we do that on the solution side? is we start creating design thinking processes of how do we simplify the pain point and make it down to one problem, because there are many problems to solve. But what is that one problem that is worthy of solving? And then what is that one feature, the hero feature that will help this problem? So that one feature, because again, many companies will create thousands of features. The user is overwhelmed. For example, when you see WhatsApp, one feature is what they started with, messaging, and then they scale to many people. So what is that one feature which is worthy of patenting, worthy of creating the IP rights around, worthy of many people being able to use and help them, is the hardest part to crack for any startup, for any product, because you have so many ideas or there are so many thoughts and they're not even well tested many a times. So even if there is an innovation idea, you have to check whether it is towelable, is how I would say, which is the hardest part.
So one sector having multiple problems and then going down to a very small problem where you can find it. So what strategy helps you? Is it a brainstorming or it's a gut feeling? How do you approach to identify that so small problem?
I went through a very scientific process. So I did it like a 50 interview process with 50 prospective customers. And when I did that, it was literally like a survey, but just pressure, pushing on the pain point and then saying, what about that pain point would they be willing to pay? Because if they don't confirm on that, everybody has thousands of pain points, but are they willing to pay? And then if they're willing to pay, then how much are they willing to pay? Is it $10 or worth of $100? So interviewing your customers in the product building journey is important. Many a times you don't have the luxury to talk to prospects or customers up to 50 in your experimental phase. But in that case, then you go to communities. So communities are also groups of people who come together for a purpose. So for example, I have a community of women leaders. I know the commonality of problems and we are very vocal about it. We share about those. Communities again can gather those problems and they're real on the ground. So it could be interviewing in a very systematic process, making sure you're identifying then what is the repeatability of that one problem that's recurring in all interviews, and then churning them out. So that's my scientific process that I follow.
That's great, because I think this is where a lot of startups and companies fail. Actually, they fail to identify the correct problem. And that's what I can say is more crucial for any company, to identify a right problem and give a solution for it. That's great to know about the way you approach it.
Yeah, so it's called the mom's test in this. So moms are sometimes like they're very lovable. They'll not give the right, like real true answer, or sometimes they're really too rude and too clear as well. So you have to do a mom's test on your customers or prospects to hear whether the pain point is real or, and the solution is real as well. So, yeah.
That's great. Do you have any strategies for patents and trademarks? Have you been using it? Can I ask questions on this?
Yeah, so I'll share on the intellectual property right now, because there are certain trade secrets that's absolutely novel. So I can open on the intellectual property, but we've not filed patents for Flocka yet, which we'll be taking your help after this call. So you can ask on intellectual property. Yeah, what's your take, or how do you protect on strategies?
So with innovation and when you start as an entrepreneur, does intellectual property plays an important role in this journey? So how do you use it for your benefit?
As a creator, it is the most important part because you're creating things, and we build things which have not been in the market in our first 4 years of journey. We've done things much before, all these AI packages or things have been now famous as well. Or even like GPT-2, before that itself, we were also working on our own LLMs, and we still do. But the key part is to then go and make sure that the value is formalized in a tangible form. Now, intellectual property in the form of probably a trademark, in form of patents, utility design, whatever, architecture, design, and so on. So it's absolutely important, and maybe not on day one, because you don't know if that idea is worthy, scaling, accepted, or so on. So testing the market is important, but safeguarding these trade secrets at the early stage and then figuring out when it has to form into a design or a tangible outcome is definitely a thought that every entrepreneur needs to have and sow the seeds of. studying these existing patents in parallel lines or similar lines also gives a good way. So in my early stage of the career, I didn't have the luxury to go and afford patents at the start. What I used to do is I used to study Apple, Samsung. They used to have a lot of patent related fights.
Okay.
And my pastime was to get up and read all of that and say, okay, this is where they actually fought, and this is where it made billions of money because they had that. So studying it and investing in studying it when you're small is absolutely a must. It should be like a newspaper, but I think for the patent side of things. And then in your subconscious, designing what are your trade secrets that you have to protect while you're sharing about your product as well. So that has to be at least an early start. And then the licensing and trademarking and patents can be distributed once the idea has grown to a point where you can create a good strategy around.
Just I want to add something. Putting trade secrets in place is very important, I can say. Whatever you patent, it goes to public. So,
Correct.
so most of the times it may not be logical to patent everything.
Exactly.
So that's true. So keeping a trade secret which remains with you, maybe that for that the lifespan may be more than 20 years, I can say. So that's great that you distinguish what you want to keep it as a trade secret, what can go as a patent, and your trademarks are there, always there, that is needed. Right. Myra, so what does it mean actually, Myra? It's a unique
Oh,
name.
that's a really nice question because it's derived from my great grandmother's name, Myra. So she had a very modern name for that time, and I wanted to celebrate her and her hard work and her. So we are a family of matriarchs. So the women are very strong in my family and have fought a lot of hardship. And I've learned a lot. So every time, if ever I need strength, the name Myra remembers the fights and the struggles that my line of women in my family have fought, that I can be here today. So it's a tribute to her in this journey.
That's really great. Your grandmother gave you an inspiration to use this name, Myra. Your mother has designed the logo for your company. Really good. That's amazing. That kind of support from a family is really appreciable. Most of the people don't get it.
Absolutely. No, I make sure everybody is a part of it. So if you're not a part of my company or a part of my company, it's not about the organization anymore. It's about the joy of doing something together. So my friends who don't work with me as well are almost working with me. And I think we are all in it together, kind of an energy. It's literally about the joy of doing something and cherishing it, I believe, more than the profits as well.
That's a very different approach, I can say. It's not a typical commercial approach.
Yes.
I think so that is making you attract more good people to your company and thrive across the globe, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. I'm grateful for that.
Based on our conversation, I understood that you started Bootstrap. You didn't took funding, and in today's scenario, what I see is specifically, I'm sitting here in India. When the idea is there, they start pitching to the investors first before creating some tangible product. So I see that difference that you in approach, and you have been successful. So why not you have not taken funding? Any reason for that? And how it has helped you actually? Again, why it has
Yeah.
helped you as well?
So I think I take this answer with a lot of pride that we were bootstrapped because one, I had to prove to myself before anyone else, and to see whether we can survive on our own, sustain on our own without external funding. That gives an excellent power in terms of negotiation in your most hardest times if you choose to take funding as well. So before taking anyone else's money or anyone else's trust, I had to feel trusted with my own self, with my own leadership journey, which was very important for myself. But after that, it became like a high of freedom. So first was that. So first 2 years we were like revenue generating and we were doing well. Third year we could have raised funds, and everybody was also like, it's time to raise funds. But the freedom was very precious to say. The freedom of doing whatever you want, and you're still figuring out what is that problem that you love. So year 3 and 4, we found products that we fell in love, but the market was not ready for it. So again, it was not something that I wanted to pitch to investors as well, because if I truly don't love the product, I cannot talk about it for 10 years. The company will die if you don't love something. So then the second, third, fourth year, we were identifying products that you really love. Now, when I speak today in front of you, we've taken funding for the healthcare initiative. And that's because the problem is way bigger than my freedom or by what you want to do, but it's a much bigger problem that many people deserve to have a solution for. So the time has to be right, your ethos has to be right of why you're doing a product, and then making sure that you're choosing this for the right reasons and not for the sake of just making money for a very small silo, because you'll not find people motivated to make money with you. It will not sustain long enough. And I see Myraa to be here forever, 100 200 years ahead as well. So I don't think the startup bubble would have done that if I had started by external funding on day one. Now this is going to be there forever with the way we've created foundations as well. So it's that ethos and the foundation.
And that's really great to know. From India, you have moved across the globe. Many Indians will be proud of you doing this. And as a woman and entrepreneur, really great job, I can say.
Thank you. Means a lot. I mean, it has been hard. It's not easy to survive without funding. And because you're revenue generating, and there are times when the orders are large, and then you still have a cash flow deficit because you're waiting for those payments to come. And pandemic was also another harsh period where we were performing. We had contracts for 3 years, 5 years, but the payments were with traditional companies where the invoice has to go physically. Even in those times, they will like send someone, and all of those issues were hard on us. And it has been hard to be bootstrapped till now, and now we've opened our doors. And even now, even with external funding, we are not brash about how we use our money. And each and every person in my company, because we're used to this culture, doesn't throw around, because we have seen startups burning cash. And that's not a nice culture, because somebody is starving and not getting a plate of food somewhere in the earth. So not being burning cash for the sake of it is something that's very deep in our culture as a company.
That's great, actually. That's great to know. So with this, do you have any advice to the upcoming entrepreneurs, starting from students, where they aspire to be entrepreneur immediately without taking any experiences? So any advice to them first from your side?
I think leverage the college time the most. It is a sponsored time, or you're on a loan, or you're at least in a safe space where there are many adults giving you knowledge. And it is the time to make the most of it. So you can do your entrepreneurial experiments while you're studying. It is absolutely possible. And it is absolutely possible to increase your network while you're while you're in engineering or in the college space as well. Take that as a playground to do many things, and not just one thing. So usually the pressure of exams, if it is just that one thing, then your capacity is limited. It's a very flexible age to expose yourself to many things during the college days. So entrepreneurship begins in the heart. So if there is a heart that is saying to be an entrepreneur, act like one during the college days. It's the best playground and the lowest cost and the lowest risk playground, I would say. Worst to worst, you'll have to handle hardships, but your capacity gets increased in the process during the college days. So I would start with that as the first key advice. To professionals who are working or who've joined a company newly as well, if you ever want to be an entrepreneur, think like an entrepreneur inside the organization as well. Be a self-starter. Think what would you do if you're levels up of your current role? How would you behave? Start behaving like that in the current role, and also start communicating it. So entrepreneur has to do communicating, building, coordinating, influencing, making sure the cash balance is positive, everything, right? So think like an entrepreneur even in a job, because your job can also give you the playground of entrepreneurship without jumping in full-fledgedly. Lastly is side hustles. They are a great way of experiments. So if you're having a 9 to 5 job, there could be jobs that are on side hustles that you can still do. But find what you're passionate about, or do one thing for yourself after going out of your office for yourself. That one thing that will build a skill or a revenue line or something for yourself on the side hustle. And you never know, the side hustle might become the main job as well. So these are the 2-3 I think, nuggets from my side.
Okay, one quality of yours that everyone can take from you as an inspiration that has brought you over here.
The one thing would be, I think, the true belief that amazing things will happen. Like, I think we've gone through so much hardships, and I can still laugh, and we can still have a smile and say, let's do it. It's fine. Let's go ahead. And that resilience. So the one thing would be resilience.
That's great. That was a great to know about your journey, your experience, your advices, and as a woman and entrepreneur from India, you would be making a lot of women proud in India, and you will be an inspiration for many women and entrepreneurs. With this, I would like to thank you for giving your time, your precious time, for this podcast and sharing your experience and journey to the audience. And I am definitely sure that they would have learned a lot of things from you and will take a lot of inspiration from you. So thank you for accepting my invitation and coming on this podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to share. I think I've shared from my heart, and yeah, absolutely hope that many more amazing, energetic entrepreneurs come up with such initiatives, and a lot of innovation happens through this. So thank you for the initiative. It's been a pleasure being here.
I hope you have learned many things from Shilpa, and I wish her all the best for her future journey. So if you have liked this podcast, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with the aspiring entrepreneurs, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can get continuous updates. Keep innovating and keep earning tremendously. All the best. Thank you.